Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the RT Machine Podcast. We got episode 11 here. Got a good crew in here today.
Eric's here. What's going on?
Hey, Ron's here too.
Dean's back.
Cody's back.
Ryan's still here.
Yeah, got a good crew.
Ryan never left.
We should let everybody know that we may jump a podcast here. 10 was in the bag, but we may not play it till later. Had the guys in from Frulmac, and we're thinking about doing something different there with that. But
Did we call that 10 or 11?
we called it.
We called it 11. But
Oh, we called it 11.
Did we? Okay.
Well, this has got to be 12. You guys are messing up.
we'll figure that out later.
The right number will be on there.
We'll get her figured out.
Some point.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, it was a rough week. So we have the beers and whiskey open today.
Yeah. Decided
So
Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, we're just going to let loose, right?
Old Barrel 21 out of State College.
Yeah. Cool place if you've never been there. What's this one
What's
called,
it called?
Cody?
Whitetail.
Whitetail. Yep, this is 6-year aged, too.
So if we start slurring our words, everybody know why.
Yeah.
Except Brian, he's got...
Yeah, I'm on the Corona.
You're on
I
the
can't
Corona.
quite take
You're
it.
You got the Corona.
I got the Corona.
Oh, no. I heard it was back.
Diener, I think, had it, didn't you? He got
I bet he did.
I would bet, man. He was rough. He was rough. One day I walked in there and said, Dean, get out of here.
You better start eating your own eggs over there. Get the protein back up.
It lasts about a week, I guess, right?
Almost, yeah, just about.
You sound pretty good today. The cough's gone, I guess.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little groggy.
Yeah. That's
Pretty
good. Well, anyway, today we're just going to kind of babble on about some of the projects that we're working on. Maybe.
Yeah, I was up at the Auburn prison this week for a walkthrough of edge banders and got to meet some of our competition over there. And
Yeah, it's funny how these prisons do it now where they bring in all the competition at the same time, same day. You get to hear everybody's questions and answers.
I'm sitting there with the powers to be outside waiting to get in, and the Hermance guys showed up, the whole entourage of them. I said, "Oh, you guys missed it. We're just finishing up out here. You guys can go home now," because you have to actually you have to be present now to actually even place bids.
So is that the only opportunity that day?
Yeah,
That was it.
They set that day, and
Wow.
you have to be there for it, and so it works out pretty good. I think it's good because you just don't have people, ghosting in on something, and actually putting the effort towards the.
Well, that's a state prison.
Yes.
New York State prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's maximum security there.
Oh yeah, and we walked right through the yard.
So you did this. I told you my story, right?
Yeah, I mean it's.
Were they playing out there? Were the guys out there?
Yeah, and they kind of just kept them all to the wall while we were going through.
Oh, really?
And but there was a couple little groups,
Yeah.
and
Just kind of like you see on TV. There's like 4 or 5 guys over here staring at 4 or 5 guys
yeah.
over there.
yeah, it's exactly like they had the weights were in a different area.
They're down further,
Yep.
caged in.
Yep. And nobody was in there, so I don't know if you got to get special passes to get in there or not. I thought they were joking when we first go in there. Go, yeah, we're going to go walk right through the yard, and I was like, okay, I guess I shouldn't have watched Mayor of Kingstown too soon. I don't know if anybody caught that series.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
actually pretty good.
That's
It's
wild.
really good.
Season 3 coming up. Yeah.
I was a kid when I was up there, and
Yeah.
that was some scary stuff.
But that's the only license plate facility and that they have in the state. So they're doing it for the whole state.
Okay.
And then there's multiple shops. They have an upholstery shop. They have the furniture deal where we were at.
That's way in the back. You went through the license plate factory to get there.
Yep. Yeah. And it was pretty interesting, though. I mean, they have a lot going on there. It's what they call the whole thing is CoreCraft.
Yeah.
So CoreCraft is the company within the state, basically, that manages all the industrial arts programs, basically, for the prisons. And so I had started originally in Greenhaven's thing, but that one's on hold, and so they opted us to go to Auburn to get that one
I'll
going.
tell you another story. I was up there one time with a guy from Ballastrini, David Yost, and the escort picks us up at the front, and we go through the yard, and then there's like a breezeway you go through. I don't know if it was that way with you, but there's like you go in one door and straight through a little hallway and out the other door. So the first two guys go through, the escort and David, and all of a sudden the dinner bell rings or whatever. And these guys these prisoners just start pouring through. And I'm like, how am I going to get through here? And all of a sudden I just go, excuse me. And I jump between these two guys, and this big guy says, excuse me. People like you are the reason I'm in here. And I'll tell you what, this white boy got whiter. I was like, is he going to hit me or what? You know?
Yeah, it's definitely intimidating walking through there.
I
No
was
doubt
in
about
it,
that.
in at Allenwood working on machinery. It was probably 18, and the guard goes, we were getting all of our tools checked in, and because you have to pull everything out to go in there with a toolbox. Everything has to be checked. And the guard looks at me. He's like, "You're pretty small to be coming in here." And I'm like, "Oh shit!"
As if you weren't scared enough, right?
And we're walking down the aisles headed to the wood shop, which they do a minimal security. It's all
That was
inmates.
That was the original one, the old one. That was minimum security, or is
Well,
it?
they had three. I think they had three different
they do have
sections there.
Yeah,
They got the low.
That's the newer one,
mid,
then.
and then the high security section.
Yeah, so they had their wood shop in the low security. It was all guys that were for early parole or getting out within so long. So there was really no
white
reason.
collar crime too. I think
Yes.
is what they put in there. Yeah.
So there was really nothing to be worried about there. But he starts taking us down through, and they do it. They must do it to every single person that walks through there to work on stuff, if it's a younger person or smaller. And the inmates start yelling, "Fresh fish! Fresh
Oh, my
fish!" as we're walking down through, and the guard,
Oh,
he's
man.
just pointing back here like this, and
They do it all on purpose.
it was all on purpose. There was
Well,
just enough to scare the shit out of you, though.
I went to before that new facility. There was a small Allenwood facility
Okay.
that was just low security, white collar crime. Now I had come from Auburn Correctional, where I didn't matter what you took out of your pockets, you were going to set off the alarm, and all the maximum security. And so then I pull up to Allenwood to talk to them about a machine. Drive right up. No, didn't get checked in. I drove right up, and the factory was right beyond the parking area, and there was prisoners looking at me.
Yeah.
And I go in and I talk to the guy, and I came out. I looked under my car. I looked in my back seat. I mean, I didn't know what.
It gives you an eerie
Yeah, I was like, is somebody trying to escape here and jump in my car? And
Well, that's when I went down. They had the guys, the factory, it was a little harder to get through, but they still had all of the inmates out front doing yard work, mulching, picking up sticks, that kind of stuff. Right out there the same way. And it's
Cody and I were down there, and when they had it was a finishing project, and that finishing was in maximum security, if I
Yes, it
remember
was.
right.
Yep.
oh,
So he and I had to go through background checks and get approved before we could go in there.
Yep. Now, the time frame you're talking about was late 80s, early 90s is when you're talking
Oh
about?
yeah, mm-hmm.
So you were probably over more toward the boot camp. Was it on site there or was it off site?
No, it was on site, but it's all shut down. It's the old buildings. You got to drive probably a mile in the one direction. That's a big complex over there.
Well, you remember that big warehouse where all
Yeah,
the
it's over near there.
Yeah, that's more so like back in the boot camp area, which they've obviously shut down and done away with.
Yeah, well, you could go over there. I bought equipment from them. You could go over there without getting even checked in.
Yep.
Yeah, prisons are not fun.
No.
Anybody see the video of where the kid escaped from the yard? The kid down in Westchester. You didn't see it?
The guy they just caught?
Yeah.
Yeah, how he
No?
he
Yeah,
crawled
yeah.
up the wall.
It was recess or whatever you call it, where they're out in the yard just hanging out, and he goes into this little alcove where there's two brick walls, maybe 6 feet apart, and he's looking over his shoulder, and then he puts his hands on these bricks, puts his feet on the bricks behind him, and crab walks up the wall. It was quite an athletic
So-
feat, actually.
So that must have been just wide open up above there. And what, he got on the roof and then ran away or something?
Yeah, they said he got up on the roof, then he ran across the roof, went through one barbed wire fence, jumped over another fence, went through another barbed wire fence, and then he was out.
And the guy the
Whoever was
guard
on
that was supposed to be watching the cameras and stuff, he got fired.
Yeah,
I would hope so.
Was it 3 weeks?
it must have been. It had to be
It
close
was
to
2 to 3 weeks.
Probably cost us $3 million to catch that guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. With everybody out there.
That dog got him.
Well,
Did anybody see pictures of the dog bites?
I saw his
floating around.
face, and it didn't look like much because I heard he got bit on the face. But
I seen him laying on the ground with the dog standing over him, but that's about it.
Oh, is that right?
Dog got his trophy.
I can't say I've ever really seen much more of a defeated look. The look on this dude's face as they're walking to the police car.
He's probably getting tired from running.
Yeah,
The food, he had to be starving.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know.
Steal,
What he
or
did.
stealing something from somebody.
Yeah, he had like a backpack. He stole a rifle from somebody. Somebody shot at him. Did you hear
Yeah, the guy he stole the rifle from.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy shot at him. Shot like 7 times. It didn't get him on
that?
it.
Yeah.
You better start going back to the range.
You would kind of think.
He was a little guy. He was only
Yeah, he
5
was.
feet
He was.
tall.
Yeah, he was a short guy.
It was a small target.
You would have thought, though. Well, I shouldn't talk about how I would break out of a prison, but I don't. You would just think you would get a car, steal a car as quick as you can, and just start driving north before they really figure out what's going on. But he went and hid.
Apparently, he spoke no English, so I'm not sure
Oh.
he could figure out which way north
Yeah,
was.
that could be the problem.
Well, speaking of shooting, now that I'm here to defend myself, thanks for ganging up. my feelings are still hurt.
Yeah,
It was fun.
it was a little.
I never revealed my score, so don't feel bad.
31.
Wasn't it
Cat's
32?
out of the bag.
Wasn't it 32?
Hey, don't short him.
So
Yeah, don't short me that one.
I went to the Penn York meeting earlier this week, and they did have a claybird shoot, which I did not participate in. Believe it or not, the guy that shot top at the Bob Rohrbaugh shoot shot second at this one. So there was someone else that shot better than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was shooting like a 94 at the first one.
Well, he only
Something
hit,
like
I
that.
think he shot 85 this time around, and the winner shot 91 or 92. So
Out of 100 again?
out of 100 again, yeah.
Wow.
So I sat with pretty much everybody that shot at the claybird shoot, and I'm like, oh, I should have came, but I was on vacation the week before, so I wanted to get caught up on some stuff. So
How'd that work out for you?
not well.
Well, anyway, Eric and I had a busy week. We had a customer come in on Tuesday looking at our second Harlan laminator out here. I don't know if everybody in the audience knows, but I think we talked about that one other time. But it's a high-speed paper laminator. We have one in the shop that's being reconditioned, rebuilt basically for a customer from the ground up, tore it completely apart. I think it'll be about 100 feet long when it's all done, and puts paper on both sides of a board at a high rate of speed, about 120 feet a minute, I think. So we have a second one. We had a customer from California came in and seemed very impressed with what we're doing on this one, and we've made a presentation, and we're hoping maybe later today. we'll have an
Fantastic.
answer
That was,
to get that sold.
We need a good video of that one.
Yeah, when this one gets done, we're going to have to really do because we, might be able to do a presentation on rebuilding these things. There's a lot of them around the country. So yeah, that was, we'll see. Hopefully that's going to transpire, and we'll get a good deal out of that one. And so Eric covered for me and went on a project with 2 of our vendors,
Yep.
Marine Johnson and Ultimizers.
Yep. Dave from MJ and Bryson from Ultimizers were in town, so had to drive out to Pittsburgh and pick them up, and then took them to Ohio for 2 different meetings, which went well, I think. One of them was just a breakfast meeting, which I can't say. At first, we didn't even go to the plant. We were just sitting there eating omelets and talking through the project, which was interesting. But
Yeah, it's a different one. Most of the time, you're going out for supper or you can grab lunch.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever heard of somebody going out for breakfast to discuss a project.
yeah.
That
they-
same customer came in to one of our other customers to see the Ultimizer stuff
okay.
beforehand, and we had breakfast that time too. I think they're breakfast people, but very, very good company, good customer of ours. And
great
they
people.
they already have the Marine Johnson and a lateral scanner that's just been installed.
Yeah, it was more of a social call and just following up on the install, but then other things came up as we were talking. So
Yeah, and we have a couple other projects. One of it out there is the guys that are looking at double arbor rip saws. So that's a long-term project. And then he drove them to Salamanca, New York, where I met him, and then we had a customer up there to talk to about some systems. So, yeah, it was a busy week. I had to come back here and pick up Format guys. We met them for dinner on Wednesday night.
yep,
Yeah.
that's the other podcast we recorded earlier this week.
Yeah, we brought I drove them up here on Thursday morning and just gave them a quick tour. Sergio, the owner, had never been here before. So,
I'm a little frustrated. I missed that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Sergio's a pretty cool guy to talk
Yeah.
with, and Joe on top of that.
Yeah, it's a shame they only had. I mean, they were here. I think we got here at 9 o'clock, a little after 9 o'clock.
A little
and
after.
I had to leave. Oh, well, we wanted to leave at 10:30. It was almost 11 o'clock. So I had to break a few laws. And
What?
And nothing else is new with that one.
yeah,
Who would even guess that you put a microphone in front of an Italian guy and he's going to talk a lot?
yeah, right, exactly. So he was actually very clear. I mean, I wasn't sure. Sometimes when I get dinner when he was talking, I was like, I can't understand what he said. But
Yeah, his English is perfect. He just has a pretty thick accent. But
yeah, he definitely, he slowed it down for the podcast, and it was
Yeah.
very, very clear. So, and
at first, I thought he was absolutely was not going to do it. Remember,
when
he was
sitting
sitting down at the other end of the table, and Joe goes, hey, Sergio, you want to jump on the podcast? Which I'm not even sure. It turns out he does know what a podcast is, but and Sergio looks up with this serious look. He goes, everything I say is confidential.
yeah, too many secrets.
And we thought he was serious, but then he gets up and he's like, yes, put the in front of that. Okay.
Yeah, he told us a little bit about the company, the history of the company, and so we'll play that sometime in the future.
Cool.
Yeah. Can't wait till Joe comes back and we can get some of his stories.
Get a few drinks in him and get him going.
Joe's got some stories. Yeah. Well, all of us have some stories, but Joe's
Joe
he's
can
a very
tell
good
the
he's a very good storyteller.
He
that's
is.
correct.
He is. Joe's good people. One
Yeah,
of my
the
favorite
whole-
people in this business.
Yeah, the whole concrete bags in his trunk story. He hadn't even told that to Sergio. So all these years, and Sergio did not know that story. So we got to hear it again. So you don't know it?
I haven't heard that one either.
Well, we'll leave that.
Yeah,
for
we'll
us.
tease that for later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have to make
Gotta
sure
listen to the podcast for that
Yeah,
one.
we'll have to make sure when he comes, he tells that story. It's a funny one. So
Yeah, I was a rambling man yesterday. I left at 4 in the morning and got home at 11 o'clock last night. I went
you did the Auburn round trip deal.
went Auburn, then rovered to Albany because of my customer, and they're very interested in the female Concept 350. So we had earlier talks a few weeks ago, and then they were like, "Hey, we want to really do something with this saw." So I shot over there after the prison and quick shoot over 2.5 hours over.
Yeah,
over to-
quick shoot yeah.
over there.
Yeah,
and
right.
Didn't leave there till after 5 at night. Of course, they were like, "Hey, do you want some beers?" I'm like, "No, I got a 5-hour drive yet. I got to."
Yeah.
Wow.
It's getting a little too late for
But
that.
yeah, they liked it because they're coming from a vertical and regular panel saw or regular table saw, and they're doing a lot of stuff with hardwood as well, and running it through the joiners and stuff. Where they really like the idea of being able to basically straight line rip on a beam saw and still panel process. So they're making room. And
when are the Green Street boys supposed to get their vertical?
I talked to Dave Bull at Colonial this week, and they are going to be putting in tentatively October 16th that week, I believe.
Okay, about a month.
Yeah, so we're going to do. They're going to do obviously a video of the install, and Dave's actually going to be doing the install himself on that. Mm-hmm. So he asked if I would be over there for that, and we're going to do some demo videos and then do the podcast when we're over there. So
Nice.
they're very excited.
Yeah, good.
They're ready to make it happen. And
Yeah. Awesome. Cody did some running around this week too.
I did. Visited with one of my customers, planning for the future and for now. Ultimizers and Marine Johnson were with me, and saw the one customer, took them in for a tour at another one of our customers' facilities, which they have numerous Ultimizers, chop saws, and scanners and whatnot. Also have Marine Johnson equipment in there as well. So it was a good overall visit at that facility, and followed it up with the afternoon having both Ultimizers and Marine Johnson in to discuss with them. We still got to get a layout figured out for their building. As is the case with a lot of our projects, we are space constrained. So
Yeah, it's a tough one out there.
trying to put 10 pounds worth of feed into a 5-pound sack again. So it's a difficult process, but we'll figure it out. So
That's one of the good things about those suppliers. I mean, Bryson's really good with layouts and stuff. So
yeah, Bryson gets a lot of joy out of drawing layouts and trying to figure out a solution to fit it into the actual facility. So
yeah,
Smart guy, man.
yeah,
he really is.
It's crazy how they can take a board and move it this way and then lineal and then lateral just to get it to fit within a certain spot. And Bryson he's a miracle worker when it comes to coming up with a solution that'll fit.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
yeah,
And I mean, that brings us into another line. Ron and Ryan have a customer that they're working with on a deal we already closed.
yeah. That's an order there. So we're putting in a Marine Johnson vacuum loader. We're going to feed it from two different directions. So one for rips and one for cut first.
Yes.
Straight off the planer, and so we're going to scan them and chop it all in without touching it.
Yep. That came from a crayon saw.
Yes.
So
Yes.
part of the time they were ripping first, then stacking, and then taking it to the chop saw, marking it and chopping. And this way here, they're going to take the entire bunk and not ever have to have somebody touch it other than to feed it into the planer.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he dealt with space restrictions as well. And the way they started transferring the boards and Bryson started working with the building, I think they had to add like a 10-foot overhang and close it in.
Right.
But other than that, they used the same exact space and made it completely hands-free.
Yep.
Yep, and that goes back to Eric mentioning that he attended that meeting. Eric and I both played chauffeur a little bit this week too. We're out helping as a team each other, not just catering to our customers. So
Yeah.
I ran the guys down to the actual meeting for the last one yesterday, and then took them to the airport at the end of the day. So
Yeah,
we get to supper, and I say to Dave, I'm like, Dave, how was your drive in? Dave's like, it was fast.
Talking about Cody.
Yeah, we met him over at Marzoni's there in Sealands Grove, got supper, and
Oh, okay.
and my response was, it wasn't that fast, Dave. Come on.
we had places to be.
Yeah, we took him to dinner out on a lake at a brewing company.
Okay.
What was that? That been Tuesday night, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, so that was pretty nice. It would have been nice if the weather would have cooperated. It was a little.
Yeah, it's
damp.
already cold up there.
Yeah, it was like 60,
Well, chilly.
62
Yeah.
that evening, but it was damp and cloudy. So
How's the foliage? We getting color up there yet?
I didn't notice a ton.
no,
No, not quite yet.
I took notice to a little bit when I was running out 80 the other day.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't anything, to write home about. But
there's
I
always
still-
some trees that get
Always
confused
some.
and do it early, right?
Yep.
Well, my flower trees in the front yard are all dropping their leaves.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you didn't water them.
Oh,
They're like 20 feet tall. We had
Excuses.
enough rain this summer. Up this way, anyway.
and
Yeah,
Cody, you're going to Ultimizers next week for another project.
Correct. Yeah, we've got a customer. I volunteered to go out with them because I haven't been out and toured Ultimizer's facility yet. We're going to be doing some scanning testing. These guys have a bunch of Ultimizer's equipment and just wanting to see the improvements, and they've got some potential upgrades and some needs that they need to replace. So we'll be running some testing, doing some profile testing, and just seeing how the scanners have improved. They have some equipment in there that's from the late 90s
Yeah.
that they're still running day in and day out.
Yeah. Some of the scanners are really old, but still work.
Yep. So that'll be an exciting trip. And fellow that I'm going with, he's like, have you seen the Columbia River Gorge yet? I said, no. He's like, I'll take you on a tour. I'm like, all right. So we're going to take the rental car
Cody's
out.
going to take you on a tour.
He's going to take me out, going to show me a little bit around the,
Bryson's a very good tour guide.
Yeah.
He really knows that area, so I'm sure he'll go along if you want him to.
yeah.
So I was out there with the guys from Mill Services when we put that line in, and it was well, of course, on that side of the mountain where Boring, Oregon is, it's always wet. It's always it's not really ever that cold, but then you go up over the mountain and it's snowing like hell, and it was nasty, and then you get on the other side and it's a desert.
Yep.
And there was like no trees, everything was dead, and it's just weird out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I experienced that when Eric and I were out to Oliver in Kent.
Oh yeah.
He went to an auction sale not far from Oliver, and you sent me to go look at some equipment on the other side. And I just get to a certain point driving up over the mountain range, and I hit the high desert. It's like, didn't
Yep.
even realize this was the case.
Yeah. Now we went over when we went into the desert part. It was nighttime, and then we came back in the daytime. But it's amazing how you're driving along, and there's like no trees or anything, and then all of a sudden you start seeing a few trees and a few more trees, and then all of a sudden it's green.
Yep.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're in the Pacific Forest.
Yeah.
It's wild how that changes.
Yeah, it's the first time I'd ever been out there, so it was pretty eye opening.
Makes Bryson a little bit snobby about mountains, though. We were driving through Ellicottville, New York, which is a ski town, and we drive past the one thing, and he goes, "Oh, look, they put a ski lift on that molehill."
That's a big one for around here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody said that town's got like the second most ski runs in the Northeast or something. I don't know.
I think Gino said east of the Mississippi.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I think I told you this, but I started asking Bryson about hunting because he's a Western big game hunter. And I was driving in the car with Dave and Bryson, and I asked Bryson, so when you go out for elk, for example, how far do you pack in from the road? Like, how far do you hike in? And he goes, if I'm not going to stay, if I'm just going to hike in and hike out, I hike in 2 miles, I hunt, and I hike back downhill to the truck at night or to camp. He said, if I'm going to stay, I'll hike 6 miles in and camp there for 3, 4, 5 days and then hike 6 miles out. And Dave looks all confused and he goes, wait, you drive 2 miles in or you walk? And he goes, I walk.
I was going to say, I understand the word hike.
And then I said, so, and if you're successful, because he usually hunts with another person. And I said, if you're successful, was it 3 trips? And he goes, no, 5. I said, 5 per person? He said, no, the other person I go with doesn't pack anything out. So I carry the whole thing out on my back.
Wow.
5 trips.
Wow.
And Dave looks at me and he goes, sounds like a hell of a lot of work to me.
And then you talk to him about that, and you realize how privileged we are.
Yeah, I mean, well, Dave goes, I kill a deer, I drive the truck in, and I put it in the bed of the truck.
Yep, I've done that before myself. So
Get a little Kubota and put it right in the bucket. You don't have to lift it into the truck.
Well, your Uncle Denny, as you have up there on the board, how far did he hike? Do you remember the story?
it was a while. I don't even remember how far in he hiked.
Yeah, because he had a guide, and they made camp, and then they would hike from the camp to where it was moose.
Yeah, that was up in Alaska.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he got one. Like the different guides talked to each other, and they said, if I remember the story right, they said there's one at this spot. So Denny got picked as the guy to go try to shoot it. So they hiked to where it was, and he shot it. And then these group of guys come in to cut it up and carry it out. He didn't have to.
Yeah, that was the glory of having the guide for it. They took care of everything. They told you where to go, do it, and then they took care of bringing it out for you and everything like that.
Yeah.
I do remember he was very high on eating the tenderloin when they were still out in the field camping and everything.
Yeah, because he couldn't bring any of it back. They donated it because he was in Alaska.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we had a land lease out in Illinois, and we weren't allowed to gut the deer out there, out in the field, so we had to bring them back to the pig farm, and you'd have to gut them out at the pig farm, put them in there. They had a big trough out there that they threw it in the ditch.
Oh,
So
the pigs ate you off?
so this was the first year I was out there, and I cracked one at 6:50 in the morning. Of course, nobody's going to come help me, so I have to go hike to get my buddy's truck. Driving, I got to drag this full deer like 300 yards, and then I'm by myself trying to put this thing on the back of. We had one of those carriers. I had this fucking thing all bent up. between my 250-pound ass on it and the 300-pound deer.
The damn dead deer wouldn't cooperate.
Of course, everything's squirting out of the damn thing. I'm like, oh my God. And Everybody's like, "Yeah, we're not coming to help you. We're not coming out of the woods. You know, you're on your own."
Wow.
Well, see, the property I hunt at up in New York, they don't want you to leave the tree stand. Say you get a deer early off in the morning, they want you to wait. Not go wrestle up anything.
Yeah.
They just want you to sit in the stand and wait for everybody else to come out at a certain time.
Yeah, we had it was a very odd. We had over 1,000 acres that we personally leased, and it was a big piece of property. So everybody was like spread pretty much not on top of one another. I mean, everybody had their own areas and stuff, and it was pretty good deal. Of course, I'm not too fond of heights, just like Ryan is, and they had stands already.
Ryan loves height.
Oh yeah. So I go into the one area where I wanted to hunt, and I'm looking at this hang-on stand that they had, and it's like literally 30, 35 feet in the air. And I was like, there's no way. I'm bringing my own climber stand. And here it's not only is it 35 feet in the air, well, it's right on the edge of this ravine that is like 60 feet deep.
Oh boy.
And I was like, yeah, no way. So I ended up bringing my climber in and moved in like 30 yards. Yeah, I don't like the heights too much.
My hands are getting sweaty here.
That's making my head spin just sitting here.
That might be the liquor, Dean.
Tell them about your Morgan Wallen seats, Ryan.
Oh my gosh. So we go to this concert. We went to the Morgan Wallen concert over there. And it was in a big stadium. Well, we were going up, and no one told me our seats were up in the nosebleed section.
Uh-oh.
And we're going up the staircase, and it's one staircase after another. And we finally get up to our floor. I'm like, ooh, this is pretty high. Like, well, we started walking to our row, and our row is the second row off of the ledge. So there's one row in front of us, and then like a 2-foot piece of glass up in front off the floor where it's just a straight 60, 70-yard drop. And every time somebody would stand up, you could feel the balcony flex.
Well, I bet you had a fun concert.
Oh, it was terrible. Sat with the phone on my knee, watching the Penn State game, listening to music.
It's when you can just leave.
There was enough drinks there.
Oh, I see. Something to keep you happy.
Those $15 beers are going down easy.
My wife and I, the vacation we took, we went down to South Carolina to the Myrtle Beach, and we got on the Skywheel, and she got a little nervous. We stopped up on top, and I sent a picture out to Eric and Ryan and our one other buddy, group chat kind of thing, and he didn't respond. I figured he'd be a little scared,
I don't know. I've never had a problem with like the Ferris wheels or anything like that.
You would not have enjoyed
Really?
this.
Ferris wheels are all right.
This one was, I don't know what it actually is, but it's like 150, 200 feet up.
Mm-hmm.
You would not have enjoyed this.
That's like the big one at Knoebels. I've never minded that one.
All right,
Oh.
move on. Ryan's getting
Ryan.
uncomfortable.
Brian needed another one.
He's back.
I got to replenish in my fridge.
Ryan had to give him the opener.
Yeah, I actually just got my hunting license after a long sabbatical.
Oh, you haven't been hunting?
No, I thought it was maybe about 10 years.
Uh-huh.
And here it was 2007
Nice.
was my last one. And I was like, holy cow.
So you're gonna go out with these characters, or?
Oh, yeah.
You've been not hunting longer than I've been hunting.
Started talking to Brian about duck hunting, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to do that all the time. Let's go."
I'm back in. I'm easy to talk into.
We missed goose season.
Yeah, we're good to go, though. Now I got everything ready to go. I actually just finished washing all my gear up the other day. So
Do you ever eat the goose?
Yeah.
What do you do with it?
So we do two different things. Either we'll pan sear it. We'll do like a marinade or a brine. A brine. It won't be a marinade. It'll be a brine. Brine it. And then either pan sear it and cook it medium rare. You don't ever want to overdo a goose, or it just gets dry and tough.
yeah, I made that mistake once.
They're easy to overdo.
Just like you would duck.
Yeah.
We do.
You know,
we
a lot
also
like
do
your
it.
groundhog recipe, if you have one of those.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I'd cook that medium rare.
No.
we started doing like a red wine stew with it, and oh my gosh, that's the best way to eat duck or goose.
Stew.
Yeah.
It's like almost like a brown gravy with a red wine mixed in it, some onions, mushrooms.
Just not the only way to do it. Cook the hell out of it.
Seared duck breast is like one of the
You
one of the
can't
best
beat
things.
it.
Yeah, it's so good. Then you fry the potatoes in the fat afterwards.
Taking notes.
That hence the duck fat fries, or whatever, isn't that what they call that?
Yeah, duck fat fries.
Yeah.
See, that's everyone complains about duck being so greasy, but we breast it, so we don't actually pluck it. If you just pluck the feathers off, you still have all the fat, but if you pull the skin back off of it, all of that fat typically comes off with it. So you're just left with a lean piece of red meat. And I've never had greasy fat. We tried roasting one, like a whole one before on a smoker, and that wasn't the greatest.
It's also easier to do it that way, just skinning it versus plucking it.
Yeah.
Like
Plucking
that-
takes forever.
This is pulling our true deep woods redneck out of us here.
I tried plucking.
Where's the machine, woodworking machine in that aspect?
So it is actually, we get one of the tabletop flap sanders, put some rubber little bristles on there to pluck everything.
Oh, nice.
Brought it back around.
You probably have a bandsaw in the butcher shop, right?
Oh, yeah. You know, bandsaw.
Gotta have
Are you
one
just
of those.
calling
We got
for
a
your rubber-
grinder.
your feather plucking
It's a
machine?
different grinder, but it is a grinder.
I tried plucking one time, and after that, I'm like, nope, never again. Get a pheasant, get a grouse, get a turkey. I always just skin it.
Yeah. I just breast. Typically, unless it's a turkey, I just breast it. Duck legs are so small and so full of tendons. Most of your wild game birds, their legs are just so full of tendons. So it's not very enjoyable to eat. It's good, but you're picking
It
hard
depends on how
tendons.
you're prepping it, too, and how you're cooking it.
Oh, if you're, yeah.
I do stuff barbecue quite a bit, just do it over the grill and everything like that.
Yeah, you're still dealing with tendons.
You're still dealing with tendons. You're spot on with that.
The barbecue place you recommended in Brookville is pretty damn good, by the way.
I know.
Cody's like, yeah, I know. Yeah.
I know.
I call him, and we're in such a bad area. I had Bryson and Dave in the truck. I call Cody, and I said, where do I take these nice gentlemen if I'm in the middle of nowhere between such and such in Brookville? And he goes, well, you're kind of SOL, buddy. You got to go to Brookville.
Yeah, there is an area there where you're not going to find anything.
Not much around. It's like when we went up to a place in the middle of New York, we still had another half an hour or so in, and we had to stay in some little college town, but there just wasn't anything up there.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely some places like that in our region.
Yeah, when I was up on the top side of Lake George a month ago,
Yeah.
there's nothing up there on the very top. You got to come down in till you get to anything.
Yeah, driving along, what is that road?
87
Yeah, there's like nothing but trees.
till you get into what is that? What the heck is the name of that little town right there? It's right on the lake. It's where the Olympic.
Oh, Plattsburgh?
Yeah, I think that's.
That's another lake up.
Or no, maybe it isn't that then.
Yeah, Plattsburgh is on the next lake after, or it's north of the next lake after Lake George, as far as I know.
So maybe it is just in the middle there. That's Lake George town.
But that's on the south side.
Yeah.
Of the lake. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like Dolly World in there. That's kind of like
Right.
it's all kind of activity going on. It's amusement park type of stuff. And
That general area, southern New York and the northern tier of Pennsylvania, it's all so scattered. You hit towns here and there, but other than that, there's nothing around.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's sometimes one of the nice things with getting to be on the road and traveling is we get into some really nice restaurants here and there on occasions with having some vendors in or having customers out, that it makes it worthwhile some of the travel.
Some of the best restaurants are the ones that look like a dive, you know. But you gotta find out from talking to the locals.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's how I found that barbecue place. I asked those guys, and I said, "What's a good place to eat around here?"
You learn
That
the tough
barbecue
way.
place barely had doors, man. And then the guy's taking my order, and I look in the back, and there's a dog there. like sticking his head in the kitchen. Like, what are you guys doing?
That's funny.
Yeah. Speaking of rustic areas, I was with Rod Everson. He's the guy that used to be a Marine Johnson rep. I was a kid a long time ago. Going across Route 6, northern side of the state. You had a place up there.
Yeah, we were up on Denton Hill.
So Gailton, I think is
Yep.
the name of the town. But it was snowing. We were coming from somewhere in the west, New York, and we were going to Gailton. And somewhere along the way, we were trying to find a place to stay, and it was late, and there's nothing up there except little motels. So we pulled into this one motel, and there was a light on there. And so we go up to the front desk, and it was kind of dark, and look in the back, and there's a dude back there skinning a deer. got his big knife, and he comes up, he looks at us with his big knife, says, "What, can I help you?" So we're looking for some rooms. Oh, hold on. So he, I guess gets the wife, whatever, this woman comes out. She starts telling us what the rates are going to be and stuff, and Rod and I are looking at each other. I was scared shitless. I mean, this guy's wielding this big knife. And luckily, Rod was a little older than me and more seasoned, and he looks at her, and he goes, "Do you have phones in your rooms?" This is before cell phones.
Yeah.
She goes, "No, we got this one right here." She uses right here on the desk, and he goes, "We're businessmen. We got to make calls tonight. I think we'll move on down the road."
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of just a lot of them closed up anymore because the winter season had gotten hit so hard. But now a lot of stuff is starting to come back because of the side-by-side and the four-wheeler trails and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I just saw Denton Hill, they're taking that over now and going to revive the whole ski mountain and bring other stuff back in there, other activities. And,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's a pretty big tract of land. I think that's 100 and some acres. I think is 160 maybe.
Yeah.
Wow.
So which will be good because that was when that was going pretty well when we had our cabin. It was they brought a lot of people in, and that going out. But yeah, Potato City Motor Inn's gone. That was up on top of the hill.
That's where we ended up staying.
Is that right? Yeah. Old Joe.
Yeah, we actually backtracked, I think, right? Because
Yeah, you would have went. Yeah, you would have went about another 20 minutes back up.
yeah, we had seen that place, and then we looked at each other. I was like, "Let's go back." So
Yeah, Joe was a good guy. He hit there. Potato City was right across the street from where our cabin was. We were right down on Irish Farm Road, so we got to know them real well. That was our hangout. Right.
Yeah, we didn't have phones in our room there either, but we didn't care.
Yeah,
There
that was
nobody
actually a
wielding
little more of a motel.
He didn't have a knife in the lobby.
We're not bloody knives. Have you seen?
They did real good food up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but Joe sold out, and then the winters kind of petered out, and it's this new state police building up there now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So it's yeah, we had a lot of fun up there. Well,
Yeah.
Derek, he bought a place. He's down at the backside of Gailton.
Oh, is that right? I knew he bought a place up there somewhere.
Yeah, he's Germania Gailton there.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, it's
know.
a good. I think they were.
Gailton is still pretty remote. There's not much going on up there.
No. Nice area though. If you're.
It's a good place to go to escape.
Yeah.
Some of the areas cell service is dead up there. There's no cell service in spots up there.
Good luck.
Yeah. Back when we built our cabin, that was in the mid to late 90s, and at the time, I had a StarTAC phone. I was the only one that could get service, and we had still with the StarTAC had to go out on top of the potato field to get service to call out.
Yeah, it's definitely out there.
We ended up putting a landline in just because it was so spotty and emergencies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
still a fun area.
Yeah. So anybody got any other projects we want to talk about? We're looking at our board over here, so.
We have a cheat
I'd
sheet.
be-
Speaking
uh,
of remote areas, you got MMB on there.
Oh, yeah.
Driving to that place in the dead of winter is an experience because it's
At the top side of,
Good old Petoskey, Michigan.
yeah
Top-
the very
top of-
tippy top of mainland Michigan.
yeah. Yeah, we did a liquidation up there. So Eric and I drove out there.
It stands for Michigan Maple Block, by the way.
Yeah, and we had asked the guys to clean up the machines for the liquidation, but that's why after that one we started telling people how we wanted them cleaned. It's still usually not the best, but we got up there. It was summertime, and it was an old wooden floor building, multi-story, and him and I looked at each other and was like, well, I guess we're going to have to get busy. So we put on the shorts and the old T-shirts and started cleaning. And every night, I don't know how many, we were there a whole week.
Yeah, and then I went up for another week at least.
And
by myself.
every night when we were done, our clothes were just dripping wet with sweat, dirt, grime. But
And we would start early. We were in there at 5, 6 in the morning and going until 5, 6 at night trying to get this thing done.
Yeah.
It was so hot in that building.
Yeah, so we had no compressed air, and that's the first time we learned when we were like, how are we going to clean these machines down? And there's only so much you can do with a broom and a brush.
You can't blow them off at that point. You can't get the heavy stuff out. Or
and then,
Tell you what's good for that, though, is a Ryobi electric blower, leaf blower.
That's when we learned about leaf blowers. So we said to the guy up there about, geez, how are we going to clean that? He goes, well, try this. And Eric's over there, and it blew it off.
He's like Carl from Caddyshack.
So we take that with us a lot now.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's better than an air compressor. Because you
get more volume.
Of a broad, yeah.
That was in the heat of COVID, and we walk into that place. It was probably May of 2020.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's why they shut down, because of COVID.
Maybe even earlier than that. And we walk in and we're standing in the vestibule in the place, and there's only like 4 people working there at that point, helping with the cleanup, and we're standing in this like 5 foot by 5 foot vestibule, and the guy's like, "Yeah, obviously we're going to practice social distancing while we're here."
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably wanted to wear a mask just because of all the dust flying. It wasn't a fact of whether you should or you think you should.
We didn't wear masks.
We didn't wear them, but we were smoking ourselves out with that dust.
Yeah. That's when you go home at night and you're like taking a Kleenex and you're digging and you're digging. I mean, it's nothing but dirt comes out. It's terrible.
And that turns into nosebleeds.
Yeah.
The service guys did all of the rigging for that job, and they had a Rotalis double-sided planer, one of those rotary planers, and I think it was 30 inches wide.
Oh no, that was 52 inches.
52 inches wide.
If I remember right, it was what we didn't know about it. It was actually a little wider than that. Wasn't it like 55 or 58 or something?
Obviously, I don't remember. Huge machine though.
Yeah, it was a monstrous machine.
And it was sitting the main level of the plant. Almost all of it had wooden floors, including that area. Now this one had.
Dean was there too.
Yeah, this one had a substructure under it.
Yeah, all the heavy stuff did. Yeah.
That was my first rigging job I went on.
Yeah. Did you help push that thing out of there?
Yeah.
I guess you did. Not that you were that much help. You weigh like 20 pounds. But
We had one of these fancy
the electric pallet jack thing.
Yeah.
Or no,
Johnson bar.
Johnson bar.
A powered Johnson bar. I was
Yeah.
basically just hanging off that thing.
Yeah.
Tell him, Dean, it doesn't matter
a-
how big you are. It's how you move it.
Back in the old days, they had a lot of wooden floors, and I remember this one rigger had one of these electric Johnson bars, and I said to Eric, I said, we ought to see if we can find one of those. And they found a place and rented it, right?
Yeah. I think we lost most of our deposit because we beat the heck out of it, I think, from what I remember.
No, I think we burnt 2 switches out of it.
They had to put plates down. Well, underneath the wooden floor, there was a lot of bracing already, but you put more down, right?
Yeah.
Or they put more up.
I mean, I didn't, but
Yeah, they actually had
Yeah,
to put more.
we had to brace the floor as we were moving it because I don't know how thick that floor was, but you could feel it and see it bowing under the machine. And we put steel plates down too.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, you didn't realize it at first, but you're pushing and it won't go and it won't go, and then all of a sudden it goes, and it's because you're going through like peaks and valleys, pushing this thing across the floor.
Well, they made it without going through the floor anywhere, right? They didn't damage the floor.
Yeah, there were no major issues at all up there, from what I remember.
I remember the EPR, the Newman EPR 24 planer, and
Yeah.
the Marine Johnson ripsaw in there.
Yeah.
I was out there and visited that facility a couple times years ago.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
saw
but
that
when they were operating.
when they were operating, yeah. I remember seeing those wooden floors, and I asked them, how did you get these in here? And they said, very carefully.
Yeah. Well, they had a local rigger that would do it for them.
Yep.
But then when we called, the price went really high.
Yep.
So we just went and did it ourselves. So
They were the only ones up there.
Yeah.
They were the only people even around that would be willing to do it.
Right.
Yeah,
And they
thought
knew
they
it.
had us.
Yeah, they knew it. Yeah.
Yeah, Petoskey is very remote, but it is beautiful.
Oh yeah, awesome area for
Yeah,
sure.
very nice.
I was talking with one of my customers earlier here this year. I think it was in the springtime. They have a customer up there, and they said, the one guy told me his wife said we need to buy a summer home up here. You know, it's just so beautiful
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a nice area. So yeah, we did that liquidation, and we've And then, of course, we're now involved in one just for a rip line at IDI, and that was much different experience for you.
Yeah.
You and Dean went down to do that one, and customer actually cleaned the machines up before they got there. I mean, we always do a little bit more, and I told Jeremy that we would, and but it went very well. You were in and out of there in a day.
Yeah, we allotted 3 days, and we were done in less than a day.
Yeah.
So,
It's nice when it works like that.
yeah, right.
I think too often.
Well, we're trying to let people know what we want done.
Yeah.
But they don't always listen. So. Tree Products was
Really?
one too that didn't. I mean, we're still working with those guys, but I did that one on my own. That's when you had your foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So I
hurt.
went down there by myself, and I was there at least a week. I don't remember the whole story, but I came out of that one looking like a piece of wood at the end of the day. I had so much sawdust all over me and stuff. But the gentleman that owns the place was very nice. He had a nice place. I stayed in his apartment at his house. He had an apartment above the garage, so it was very nice. It was like a condo at the beach type of thing.
Oh, wow.
It was a beautiful place.
They just sold one of their presses out of there,
Right.
and we were talking about moving equipment. That one there, I mean,
That's
the
a
rigging bill was more than the machine, but I mean, we had the machine marked down so low that to make
Yeah.
it worthwhile.
And it's also in a remote area. There's
Yep.
not a lot of people around there to move machinery. We got a couple of quotes, and again, we sent our own people in.
Yeah. Is that the same place, Eric, where Carson pushed a ladder out from underneath you?
That was Catawissa.
He's having flashbacks to that. That's where he's
Yeah. Hey,
Yep.
did that one by
ladder went
himself.
one way and Eric went the other
My
way.
own dumb fault.
Well, they both went the same direction.
Oh, did they?
Down.
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 They both made the same noise when they hit the ground. Whack.
Yeah. Ugh. That was what, like 12 feet?
I don't know. It's not. That's what I've been telling people. I should go back and look.
It was
Cody thinks it's
higher.
but I don't think.
Oh, it's higher.
It wasn't that much higher. I think that I counted 12 or 15 courses a block, so it's probably about 15 feet, 12, 15 feet.
Yeah, that's a hell
Because
of
I
a...
was over there afterwards. I forget what I was there for, and I knew exactly where he told me where it
Because
was.
the ladder was still sitting there.
And the ladder was still there, but he told me he went up there to look at the air makeup unit, and I remember the air makeup unit because when I was looking at that deal, I said, I don't know if that's worth anything or not, and that's why he went up there to find out if it was worth anything or not.
Did they still have the chalk
Didn't
line
even
around your
sell it.
body there then? Was that on the...
And,
Yeah, IRS didn't even put it up for sale.
yeah, they didn't.
Wow.
It's all a waste.
Yeah,
All that work.
Damn it.
that might have been because he fell. I don't know why they did, but they didn't do it.
I think,
Nobody was willing to get back on the roof.
High risk
yeah,
removal.
I think
That
the
could
other
have been
guys
it.
looked at it and said, "I ain't going."
Yeah, it's not worth it. Yeah.
The guys were there doing some rigging, service guys, and Nate sends me a picture of this little 2-foot step ladder, and he goes, "Is this the one?"
That was one of those fancy collapsible.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
We couldn't get it to stay up. So it was like a 15-foot ladder and only like 2 foot tall.
Oh, yeah, that was a bad experience, but he made it through.
It's almost exactly a year now.
Yeah.
Wow, that long ago. Holy
Yep.
cow.
Yeah.
Oh, and the ladder story there makes me think about when you first got the building here. I was outside and helping do some work at the kilns that used to be out back there.
Yeah.
I was on a ladder back there. Fortunately for me, somebody was holding the ladder for me. I fell on top of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The one kiln that was out there? What the
That
hell were
was
you
in
doing?
the back out
Yeah.
there. I was climbing. I don't remember.
We sold that to Catawissa. Now
Yeah.
we're talking about Catawissa.
I don't remember why I was up there, but I went up. There was a wooden extension ladder here, and it released, and then I fell over backwards.
Jeez.
No, I didn't know about that
I
one.
didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Do you at least go visit him in the hospital yet?
No.
Who'd you fall on? Jimmy?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Mark's
don't-
not with us anymore.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
But no, I gave him a bloody nose and all that. You know, I fell right on his face.
Wow.
Yeesh.
Yeah, some rigging stories can get pretty crazy.
I did some goofy stuff around this building when we first bought it too, like guys going up on the forks and just sitting on them. It's like, man, why did we do that?
Yeah.
And Dad comes out. He's like, "What the hell are you boys doing?"
Young and dumb, right?
Yeah,
And Tony Cemento came in.
yeah, right. He didn't even go over ladder safety last time he was here. I was frustrated.
I think he was on the condensed version this past time.
Yeah, we need to get that guy on the podcast.
Oh yeah, Tony'd be a good one.
Yeah,
He
got
definitely
some
would
stories.
be. Oh,
It'd be a gory podcast.
Right. You need a visual aspect of that.
Yeah.
His training systems are scaring the shit out of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was one of Tony's first customers back in late 80s
You were?
or late 90s when he started. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the guy that does our OSHA training, by the way, that we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, he's been all over the world. It's crazy from where he started from in China, you name it, overseas. He's been in the plants and stuff.
Some of those pictures are amazingly gory.
Ugh. Yeah, we used to, in the early days, we were experimenting. So I would experiment with his ideas, and we had the coroners come in, and they would, oh my God, some of the pictures and stuff they would bring in were just way over the top.
Yeah, I
And
bet.
we actually, the 1 year, one of the sessions we did, we actually filmed everything and used it as a regular training video for guys that would come in
Oh, yeah.
mid-trip, because we would do pretty much once a year. We did all the OSHA mandates and everything, forklift and all that. Yeah, he's pretty good guy.
Yeah, he definitely gets his point across.
Yep.
Which needs to be that way. So,
Safety third.
Safety.
safety third. Well, I think everything we talked about has been Marine Johnson Ultimizers projects. I got one other one there. I did one for, believe it or not, a company that makes wooden tanks for on top of buildings in New York City. We didn't get that. We have the order. The machine's being built. Sold them CNC router to make the components for that. But you and I were, Brian, you and I were up there in New York City. I told you about that. Well, you went to the meeting with me on that.
Yeah, we drove inside the building on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no place
parking.
to park. Yeah. They open up their garage and you park inside. But
Is that because there's no parking, or
Yeah,
the car will
there's-
be gone when?
no. There's lots of cars there, but that's the problem. There's lots of cars there. There's no place. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how long it would have taken us to find a place to park. I mean, that was,
Oh, and it was a cluster in there.
it's crazy. Right across the street from the post office, and all their trucks are parked there. And so I just called the owner and said, "Hey, can you open the door like you did the last time?" He's like, "Yeah, sure." So
Yeah,
we
that was
go-
the way to do it.
Go around the block, and then we pulled in. So
That's
then-
half my battle anymore within the city. I'm the lucky guy.
Yeah.
Couldn't find a meter. Here's $4.
Yeah.
Then we left there, and you called me right away. There's a water tank under
Right there. There's like, oh my God, you realize how many water tanks are on top of the buildings once you never realized
looking
before.
for it.
You saw them, but then once you're in the meeting and then realizing what all they did, and it's they're everywhere. in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, well,
Pretty
I guess
wild.
they need water pressure, and they don't have good enough water pressure, so they pump the water up, and then that's how these people get their pressure. So
It's amazing that they're still all wood. I think there's some other, stainless
I
vessels.
think there's
but
some stainless, but yeah, a lot of wooden ones.
yeah, it's the bulk of them.
And his business is picking up, so he was looking for a solution. We CR100 and I got together, and so we'll see. We got to get that thing up and running here soon. So
Yeah,
I think
should be a neat project.
I think it should be shipping either October or November. I got to check on that actually.
Coming up.
Or if we found a building yet.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he was.
Still didn't have a building put in. But that'll be an interesting project. I'm sure we'll do some stuff on our website and podcast on that when we get her going.
Another neat one.
So we had another one with CR100 that just started running here probably about a month or so ago. Finally got it in their facility and running, and they're doing some chair stuff and doing two heads, doing two chairs at one time, and then another head with a 4-axis on it to do decorative work and side work and some different things that way. So they were running an old Como with two heads, but they didn't have the capability of, or no, it was just a single head Como that they didn't have the capability of doing two pieces at once and then adding the decorative and longer work off to another table. So that was a really cool way to help speed them up and get them moving.
Machinery Spotlight of the Week used CR100 that we just
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can do that
Oh
one.
yeah,
Everybody just learned about today.
yeah. I'm gonna need some
It
quotes.
doesn't
on
even
that
have a
one pretty
stock
quick.
number yet, does it?
No, we when did I buy that? That was Tuesday night. We have
I don't know, man.
we have a partner on it. We work with the guys at Scarlet Machinery, so we bought it together with them, and that was Tuesday night. And I forgot to tell everybody. I didn't even tell Eric until today. Just forgot. But
cool.
What did I tell you that was? The 5x12,
I'm terrible with the
5 by
nomenclature.
12 dual head,
2-head with tool changers, no drill.
no drill.
Yeah,
So I'm guessing it has to
C-series.
have a split table in there.
I think so. I'll have
C
to look at
series
that.
typically is a split table. So if it's a 5 by 12, typically be a 2 5x6s, unless
Yeah.
it's a specialty table, which they might do like a
4x8,
Yeah.
4x4. Well, not a 4x, 5x8.
yeah.
Onsword's nomenclature even makes sense, and I can't remember it. I'm so
Yeah.
bad with that stuff.
They're one of the easy nomenclatures.
Yeah, the time savers one, man, I can never figure
Oh,
it out.
that one's
I'm
complicated.
starting to get better at that one. I know what
Yeah.
the 201 is. It's a planer drum combi.
I'll never figure that one out.
And then as soon as you get it, they change it. That's what Styles does.
Yeah.
Mixing it up.
Yeah, for sure.
We had another story we were going to talk about, that auction you and I went to, was at Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
It was it's a pretty big auction. It had quite a bit of machinery, and
I couldn't
Eric-
tell you what the place was called now, but it,
it was a long time ago. You were young.
I was out of college, but I wasn't much out of college.
So I told Eric go ahead and do the bidding. I was standing right beside him, but I was, a lot of times I was talking to people and stuff, and we had a customer there from Texas that he sold his company now, but I knew him real well, and he come up to me and he's like, "What you guys doing here?"
What are you doing here?
Yeah. So I said, "Well, what do you guys want to buy? We'll let you go. Whatever." I said, and because they just bought something from me, and so they told us, and they moved to, when it came time for that machine to come up for sale, they sat up in the front, and Eric and I were sitting in the back like we always do, and the owner got up out of his chair and went back behind us so he could keep an eye on both of us, make sure we didn't go back on our word. He left us go on a couple of things too. Don't tell the auctioneers that. I'll get in trouble for collusion or something.
I remember at one point I raised my hand to bid on something, and you smacked me because it was one of the things that they wanted. I was like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, if we give somebody our word, we're going to live up to it. He just made a mistake, but yeah. We did that one time for Gunlock. I had a guy from Gunlock. His name's Joe Raleigh, and he calls me up. They had a place here in Williamsport at the time, and he was taking the stuff down. They were closing it, and he fell off a ladder, just like you, and broke his leg. So he's laying there with a broken leg, and he calls me, tells me that he just fell down. I'm like, why is he calling me to tell me he broke it? He's waiting for the ambulance. I said, Joe, what the hell are you doing? Why are you calling me? He goes, well, you going to that auction sale tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. He goes, will you bid on this machine for me? And okay. Then at the time we used to do that a lot. We'd bid on a machine for a customer at a live auction because we had more experience, and sometimes they just couldn't go. So they would pay me a commission to do that. And so I said, yeah, I'll do it. And he said, I'll pay you. And he gave me a number, and I can't remember it. But let's say it was $50,000. It was a big one-owner press. And so I show up at the sale, and a guy from Styline was there that I know real well. And I know him really well. He walks up to me and he goes, the fuck are you doing here? And I looked at him. His name's Bill. And I looked at him and said, I'm here to buy whatever you're looking to buy. He says, no, seriously. What are you here for? So I'm here for that press. He says, fuck. So I said, it's not for me. I said, I got a bid for a customer. And I said, I got a bid because if you hired me, I would have to do it. And he said, I understand. He says, I'll tell you what. He says, give me your number. I'll give you my number. Whoever's hired leaves the other one alone. Fair enough. He looks at me and says, what's your number? $50,000. Fuck. So he says, a deal's a deal.
Yeah.
So they walked up. It's time to sell the press, and nobody bid. And he stepped up and he said, $5,000. He waved his hand. He kind of motioned to me, and he walked away. I bid $10,000. I got the press.
Oh, no kidding.
So I told that whole story to the guy from Gunlock that broke his leg, and that's why Eric has a president's chair in his office right now. I always wanted the Gunlock president's chair, which are very, very expensive, thousands of dollars, but I wasn't willing to pay for one.
Yeah.
And so one day I'm sitting in my office, and Monty, that worked for us at the time, comes in and he goes, "There's a box here from Gunlock." And I'm like, "What is it?" "I don't know." I said, "Well, open it up and find out." Comes back in, he goes, "Some chair." And I looked at it, and here was the president's chair.
Nice.
He went to his boss, and he said, can we get Ron a chair for what he did for us? And I said, "Yeah, we'll give him a chair."
That's pretty cool.
That's cool. I've never heard that story.
Oh,
I
you
always
never know?
wondered why that chair was up there.
Yeah, that's the president's chair.
For a while, it just sat there as a decoration.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't sit in a chair.
Yeah, you stand for.
Yeah, I stand all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a nice chair, so I told Eric, you might as well use it.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable.
It is.
There's got to be the story behind the sofa chairs up in your office too.
The recliners?
That's not
Yes.
as interesting, but
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the story. So they're Stickley chairs.
Yep.
Okay, so I got those, bought them, and then my wife loves them and everything. But my wife,
Okay, so you just went and bought them because you liked them.
no, they were at her house.
Oh.
They were at her house, and then all of a sudden my wife wanted new ones. Not that there was anything wrong with these, but the leather. Sometimes they get scratched up on the footrest because her feet are dry or whatever, and so they were getting scratched up, and she wanted new ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought her new ones. Anyway, so she's like, "I'm going to sell these." Well, anytime my wife sells something, she sells it for like nothing.
She gives it away.
I mean, I don't know for sure what those chairs are worth, but it's a lot of money. I mean, they're Stickley chairs. It's been a while, and I don't care to say on the air but they're a lot of money. I said, no. You're not selling those chairs. I said, I'll take care of those chairs. So they're here.
They're going to my desk. Yeah.
That's when I was working in the
that was
offices during COVID. That's my desk was up there, and I'd be sick of sitting at the actual desk, so I'd take the computer over, jump on one of the chairs, put the footrest
They're
up,
comfortable
and send
chairs.
emails.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with those chairs.
They are about the comfiest recliners I've sat on.
Well, I kind of thought that your dad, I'm pointing at Cody right now, loves those chairs. And I was like, I have a feeling these chairs might end up my brother-in-law's house. Which that would be okay, but, I can use them.
I can also confirm that she does sell stuff for way too cheap. When you bought the polywood furniture chairs for out back of your house,
Oh, yeah.
I bought your high top table and the chairs with that.
Yeah.
I got a good deal on them.
Yeah.
still on the front porch.
Still on the front porch.
Yeah. Well, she always does.
I'll confess I came in to use the gym one day really early, and I was so tired. So I went into your office and I took a nap on the recliner.
That's quite all right. Well, we had one. We brought one down here for you and your because
yeah. When my foot was broke, that was my office chair.
When his foot was broken, he was working. I mean, he kept working at home, and I'm like, I'll come pick you up. Bring you. He didn't want anybody paying attention to him. As I would have done the same. I would have said no, and I said bullshit.
Yep.
And he got more work done here because you guys could come in and ask him questions. But we had a recliner down here for him. That worked out pretty good.
Yeah, his office was upstairs, so all the
Yeah,
steps
right.
trying
right.
to go
yeah,
up.
Yeah, he couldn't go up the steps. Well, we could have forklifted him up, I guess. But
Hopped the whole way. Although with that, it wouldn't have hopped very well.
no.
Well, the stairs going up to his office aren't even. I trip myself some days going up them because they're so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
It's
runs
pretty
are
high
long
up there.
on
It's pretty high up there.
I never got really good at going up and down the steps with crutches.
Yeah, that just sucks. I blew my knee out in high school playing football, and my bedroom at the house was always upstairs. So for like 2 months, I slept on the couch because I wasn't going up the steps. And once it didn't hurt anymore to move it a little, I could hop. But I was never taking them crutches up steps.
Yeah, I scooted. I
Yeah.
scoot on my butt up and down the steps.
Well,
Very humbling.
when Eric was laid up last fall with the foot ankle thing going on, I'd go in and sit in, and we'd have our sales meeting on Fridays. I'd bring him a pumpkin spice iced coffee and a wake up wrap, Friday mornings on my way through, sit in on the meeting and hang out. We'd take care of a couple things, and hunting season. So I'm like, I'm going to go try and hunt this afternoon, So
Yeah. You brought the bear by to show me before you took it to the taxidermist when you got that?
You got a
Hey.
bear last year?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
What'd that weigh in at?
Not much. What wasn't a cub? They didn't have the scales up. So they gave me an estimate. They took a measurement of the chest and gave me an estimate on it, and I can't remember.
Full 30
I
pounds.
think it was either 130 or 140 pounds.
Still,
A bear's a bear.
bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
pretty
like
cool.
a once in a lifetime for a lot of people.
Yeah, Derek, he did a full mount on his.
Yeah.
Did he get it?
He got his bear?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty cool. He's got it hanging up in the his great room. He's got those big cathedral
Okay.
ceilings.
I haven't been over to his place in a while.
Yeah, I'm getting a full mount as well. So
When I was in college, I come home at breaks and I worked at a construction company in one summer, and I came home at breaks and they said they would let me work, make some money. So I come in the morning. I was a gopher, I just run here, run there, go get this, go for that, So I come in the one morning and the owner says, "You're coming with me today." Okay. So I jump in his truck and we're driving along. And next thing you know, we're driving up to his house. It was his house, and we get up there, he opens the garage door, and there lay a dead bear on a I guess he had like sawhorses with a piece of plywood or whatever had laid out there, and he didn't want to pay the money to have his bear skin, so I was his assistant while he skinned the bear. All I knew how to do was pull,
yeah.
pull.
Yeah, I think we were talking about going to Key West to the boat races, and it's raiding bear season. I said to Derek, "Hey, you going to go down to Key West?" He goes, "I can't. I shot a bear, and I cannot miss a bear season now because
It's got to be a pusher.
you got to be a pusher." Yeah.
That's a big no-no to
Yeah.
leave the year after you get a bear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Big no-no.
So yeah, it's how many years on the pushing crew before you can really, obviously, unless something comes running past you.
Wow. Them mountains and stuff that you guys hunt, once you get up into the mountains, it's all mountain laurel. You can't see 3 feet in front of you.
No.
That's your chances of shooting a bear on being a driver is very, very small.
I was driving up 81 years and years and years ago. Larry Liebgott was with me, Carpenters. I used to work for him. And he's on the phone, on the cell phone. We're driving up the highway, and this black bear goes darting across the northbound lane, the middle median, and the southbound lane. And he's talking away on the phone, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, pointing at this bear. He's like, "Look at that."
I was coming down last night, 81, through that construction, and there was a guy pulled over just after it, ripping just hit a deer,
Oh,
and it tore off the fender flares and off his car.
don't
And
jinx me, man.
yeah, you've got a couple of kills to your name, don't you?
Too many. Too many.
That's the worst part about traveling a lot of those remote areas.
The funny thing is, most of mine either came near here or near home.
Oh, wow. So,
Yeah. It's quite a
well,
few.
you're on a lot of fields down that way, too.
Yeah.
Crossovers and stuff.
That's what happened the one time, and he just darted across from one cornfield to the next, and I happened to be
Bam.
in the middle.
when we were coming back from Time Savers Marine Johnson earlier this year, I about got one on my way
Oh,
back
yeah?
from your house. Yeah.
Oh, after yeah.
Eric's got a couple with the old Charger, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
You got one
I don't know
coming
how
back
many
from-
I've hit now.
You got one coming back from Michigan the one time, didn't you?
I don't remember that.
It
Maybe.
knocked-
I don't know. They all run
there,
together.
there was
man.
one that knocked out your headlights, and you didn't have headlights for a while.
No,
That was
no,
before.
the Michigan thing was I was driving towards Michigan Maple Block, and it was a construction area on the highway, so it was down to one lane, and I was behind a tractor trailer, and all of a sudden I hear, and I was like, oh
Fireball.
shit, where's it coming from? It hits the front of the car, and I drive over top of it, and the car's bouncing around.
I wasn't a deer.
I was like, oh man, but
They call that an alligator, right?
Yeah. Got the alligator.
I knocked the headlights out, and the fender was hanging off. So.
Yeah, well, we want to tell deer stories. The first one I ever hit, the first one, I'll never forget it. I was at a Pontiac Bonneville, and I was going to see Dwight from Walnut Creek,
Oh,
who we know very well. And so I'm driving out the Pennsylvania Turnpike. I was in the passing lane, and it was late. I always would leave late, drive at night. I'm getting tired. So the eyes are getting heavy. And all of a sudden, there he was, right in front of me. And I just whapped right into him. And I must have jerked the wheel, which I learned that lesson. I don't do that anymore, but I must have jerked the wheel, and I did a 180.
Oh,
So I was heading backwards on the Pennsylvania Turnpike in the passing lane. And luckily, it was late. There wasn't a lot of cars around, but also, and I used to run a CB back then. So I'm like, after I wiped my pants were cleaned up a little bit. about shit myself. I'm like, what do I do? And I start like flashing my high beams to try to get their attention that I was sitting there. And then truckers started coming on. There's some idiot headed the wrong way in the passing lane. So everybody's slowing down going around me. So I finally turn around and here I only had one headlight left because the other one was taken out. And so I got off to the shoulder and I got my flashlight. I'm looking for him, and nobody knew that I hit a deer and the other cars because he was curled up in the median between the uprights of the guardrail. I hit him and he landed there.
Yeah.
So they didn't even know why I was sitting backwards on the highway. But the car was fine. It kept on running. I went out and had my appointment. As a matter of fact, the white crotcher, he's like, well, what happened to your car? Still had the fur in there.
Smoked a deer on the way here.
Yeah.
I can't quite beat that, but I've got a good one. So I was in college. My sister, Caitlin, used to work here part-time. We were on our way in here, driving in the summertime, coming out by where your new house is going to be going.
Mm-hmm.
This little 5-point runs out in the middle of the road. I'm speeding. No story there.
Maybe.
I'm going probably 50, 55 mile an hour through there. Crush this little buck. And it just slides across the road and ends up dead by the guardrail on the other side. I stopped, First words that come out of my sister's mouth is it okay? I'm like,
Very much not.
no, it is not okay. It was very, very dead. The little Dodge Dakota did a number on that deer.
Yeah, your grandmother was with us one time, and
I was thinking of this story.
yeah, I was driving my wife's Suburban, I guess, at the time, and we were driving down that road, and we hit the deer, and Whitney was in the back, and she got all upset. Is it okay? And my wife and your grandmother were like, yeah, it's fine. It ran away. And I looked in the rearview mirror and go,
It's laying right there.
No, I'm doing pretty good, knock on wood. I've only got 2 at this point. One was with the black Malibu that sits out in the parking lot right now. The other one was with the old Dakota. So
I've lost count. I
That's
got
my
two.
fear.
I got 2 in one shot one time.
Oh,
They were walking side by side, and I came around the corner, and they're both gone.
gone.
So if anything can be taken away from this, be cautious driving in Pennsylvania, in rural Pennsylvania.
Or maybe just don't ride with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky. I only ever hit 2 with the farm
Yeah.
trucks too.
Jeez. You probably did it on purpose.
Well, the one I couldn't even stop. I seen it there. It didn't want to move, but I'm 100,000 pounds of grain in the trailer. I can't stop.
That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, that thing isn't. There's nothing left of that one.
All right, gentlemen. I don't know how long we've been talking, but it's almost 3:30, so I think we'll
Gotta go
call.
adult sit.
I gotta go
Adult
do
sit.
my adult sitting job.
Well, we had a good one.
Story time.
Thanks, everybody,
Yes.
for tuning in.
Story time with RT.
There we go.
Until next week.
Till next week.
Later.
If you plan to attend the WoodPro Expo in Lancaster, PA on October 12th and 13th, don't forget to stop by and say hello. We'll be in booth 503. Don't forget to support our buddies at Green Street Joinery by subscribing to the American Craftman podcast and their new YouTube channel, Today's Craftsman. Both links in the description of today's podcast.